Hello, everybody. So I wanted to do a quick video and some performance benchmarking on the new MSI GeForce RTX 4090 Gaming Trio graphics card that I was able to get last week. I ordered it on Wednesday, and then my local Best Buy had it to pick up on Saturday, so I've been playing with it for a few days. And so far, I have to say, as far as recent hardware upgrades and stuff like that, this is the first in a long time that has like exceeded my expectations in terms of overall performance increase, value, and just the general boost that it's given to my system. It's almost like the old days when you'd buy a new computer or upgrade your CPU or something, and suddenly you could turn on all the bells and whistles in the games you play that you couldn't afford before, until the next version of the game came out and the developers expected the new equipment as the baseline. But that hasn't happened for me for a really long time, and this is the first that's a thing again. So I'm excited. It's been really encouraging. So for iRacing specifically, I've written a tool called the iRacing Data Logger. It's here in GitHub if you want to take a look. It's really simple C# application, and it uses the iRacing IRSDK Sharp as its framework, but don't worry about that. Basically, it utilizes the replay time, replay frame number, CPU usage, GPU usage, and spits out comma-separated data that we can use to load into Excel or Google Sheets or whatever and make graphs and things like that to see what the performance is like. But the way I use it is I run a replay and run the application, the data logger, to get the telemetry and spit out the CSV data. So not long ago, I was doing a lot of benchmarking to compare the 5600X CPU and the 5800X 3D. So I'm going to use the same benchmark or snippet replay that I was using for that, just to keep things consistent. And at that point, the highest level that I did as far as like pushing the resolution was to 140% in SteamVR. Normally I run at 110%, sort of where I feel it's pretty satisfactory. It's funny now, the SteamVR recommendation is 150%. I'm going to dial that back just a little bit to keep it consistent with the previous results at 140%. So the resolution per eye that this is doing is 5,916 by 3,976. That's pretty crazy, and especially if you consider that the actual rendering is double that as far as the overall resolution. It's pretty insane. So that's the 140% SteamVR resolution we're going to run. Let's load up the replay snip. This was an LMP2 race at Laguna Seca. The actual race took place several seasons ago, but don't worry about that. I am a little sad that we have to run, like here, iRacing asks me if we want to run SteamVR or OpenXR. I would prefer to run OpenXR, but we need to see the CPU utilization, and with OpenVR, there's a fully wait for sync option that you can turn on in the INI, which exposes what the R value for the CPU utilization is. And right now in OpenXR, it's not possible to get that. It's always pegged at a flat percentage if you're making frame rate. So it's unfortunate, but for these tests, we have to run OpenVR. So while this loads up, I'll start the data logger. It's just a little console app. It's basically just waiting for the telemetry stuff to hit specific time values. I've already put them in the source code for the data logger, so it basically waits until the replay gets to a certain second to start collecting data, and then when the replay gets to a certain second value, it stops. So this is the data output as it goes, but I'm actually going to pause it, reset the HMD, go back to the beginning of the replay. We're going to stop the data logger from that run and run it fresh. So it's waiting until it gets to 235 seconds. That's just the arbitrary value for this replay. So here we go. So I can see in the SteamVR that we're actually making frame rate. And this has HDR, all the graphics options turned up. We're running 140% SteamVR resolution, and we're running 90 hertz. With my 3090 graphics card, this was getting like 66 frames per second. I think, it wasn't even close to making 75 hertz. So the fact that we're now making 90 hertz with the 4090 is pretty remarkable. But we'll let it capture the data, and then we'll look at the analysis. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed so far with the 4090. I did have to physically flex my case to get the card to fit in the CPU, or in the case. Once it was in, I could, everything's relaxed. It's not under pressure, or nothing's, stressing it at the moment anymore. But it's a big physical card. There's no joking about like the actual physical size is pretty substantial. And if your PC is in a vertical orientation, I think it makes a lot of sense to use the support brackets and stuff. But anyway, we've finished collecting the data. So now, actually, let me switch to a different OBS view that gives us both computers. So this file is what got spat out when we just ran that as far as the CSV data. So I'm going to drag that into a Google Sheet. Import the data. Open it. And then we're going to grab these columns as far as the frame rate, the CPU utilization, the GPU utilization, and put that into a chart. And there we go. The blue is the frame rate. So it was almost making frame rate the whole time. I mean, there's obviously some dips here. Like I said, I've been running at 110 SteamVR resolution. So pushing this to 140, I think probably is a little bit beyond what I will run day to day. But we can see the green is the GPU utilization, and the orange is the CPU foreground utilization. The background, I'm led to believe, is really just doing the physics processing and stuff. So the red is the background, the yellow is the foreground, the green is the GPU utilization, and the blue is the frame rate. But if we go back, just as far as, like I said, bar graphs, pie charts, and strong opinions. If I copy that and paste it into the new sheet, and then we make a chart out of that. Here's just a little bit of what we're looking at. So the average frame rate was 89.7. The maximum was 90.1. The minimum was 85.6. So there was a dip. I mean, it does fluctuate a little bit. And like I said, this is running 140% SteamVR, which I think is overkill. But the fact that this CPU makes that resolution, or this GPU makes that resolution, is just pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to do more benchmarking and, put it through some more paces and actually go through and find the collection of values that I want. But right now, I've turned up all of the graphics options that I used to have to compromise on. I can run HDR. I can run all the fancy tree options. I mean, things that are a little bit silly, but I've had to turn down in the past to make frame rate. And the fact that it's just, even just here sitting, it's certainly making 90 hertz is impressive to me. So anyway, just wanted to make this as a preliminary. I'm going to do some more deep dive into settings and configuration and stuff and follow up. So anyway, thanks for watching.